breakfast from 6. Now, though, on Extra Time on Talksport with me, Ben Fletcher, let's dip our toes. I normally say in the beautiful warm waters of non-league, but I tell you, as a Woking fan, they're freezing cold this morning and blinking miserable. Let's chat to the executive editor of the non-league paper. Mr. Jon Couch joins us on the line, driving those first editions to the newsagents. John, a very good morning to you. How are you doing, sir?
Good morning, Ben. How are you?
Been better. Not the result I was hoping for up on Merseyside today. I would imagine that Marine's big win over Woking in the FA Trophy, if it's not on the front page, it must feature heavily in the paper, I would imagine, this weekend.
Yeah, it is. We've actually gone with a double, a Mersey double this week, obviously with Marine winning and Southport beating Yeovil. It was a great day for National League North clubs. They make up 50% of the FA Trophy semi-finalists, and it's just been a great day for them. Marine, let's start with them. I didn't see that coming, I must admit. They're ravaged with injuries. I'm sorry to rub this in, Ben, but they're ravaged with injuries. They've got a few key players out cup side. Woking really laid everything on this FA Trophy run. They've got a really proud history in the FA Trophy. Come so close to getting to the final last year, and it just had big away win written all over it, but it just wasn't to be. Vince Sinclair-Smith opening the scoring for Marine. 37 minutes, I think it was, and they quite comfortably held on. Woking manager Neil Hardley really not happy with his team. He said the best team, but a team who wanted it most, and that's a pretty damning indictment, really, on his team. And Southport as well. What a great win it was for them. It's obviously been a wretched few years for them. They really haven't had a great deal to cheer about up at Hague Avenue. But they just put this run together under Neil Dans. They've hit form at just the right time of the season, both in the league and in the cup. And that was always going to be a real tricky trip for Yeovil today. And they looked like getting it right until the end. Southport, last gasp, the equaliser, takes it to penalties, and as we know, anything can happen on penalties, and Southport were the ones who held their nerve. So it just means that the FA Trophy draw on Monday. Obviously, we got Marine and Southport. Southend United in there, they'll really fancy their chances. Southend and Wealdstone as well, who saw off Kidderminster Harriers, prevented a National League North treble. That was on penalties, a real tense showdown there. Kidderminster Wildcats played very well indeed, but Southport, Wealdstone, Marine, and Southend looks like a really decent four for me. Two real big ties coming up.
Yeah, very much. And in terms of Marine and Southport, you'd kind of hope they stay apart, really. It would be lovely to have a kind of all Merseyside final, just something a little bit different. But I don't begrudge Marine their victory one bit. We spoke to Tony Bradshaw on yesterday's show, regular listener to this segment. So, Tony, if you're still celebrating, fair play to you. You've got a stronger cast iron stomach than me. They wanted it more. You're absolutely right. Neil Hardley just said they did the basics better than us. It was a huge win for them. Wild scenes of celebrations afterwards. And Marine, I mean, you look at how they're doing in the National League North as well, particularly, and from where they've come from in the last couple of seasons, really one of the big success stories from COVID. They had the Tottenham FA Cup tie, of course, and raised a lot of money through e-tickets because fans weren't allowed in the stadium back then during those dark times. And you look at where they are now and you think, why not do a playoff and FA Trophy double? I really genuinely hope they go on and win it, not least because it will spare our blushes a tiny amount.
Yeah, an amazing story, and it's a good sort of diamond really on just what the FA Cup mean to non-league clubs. That this is a legacy of that FA Cup run, and obviously if Tottenham had been there with crowds, they would have earned a lot more money. But the way they did it, with the e-tickets, etc., they really got the community on board, and they still made a great deal of money. Obviously with the TV as well. Tottenham managed by Jose Mourinho that day. They had Gareth Bale playing. Yeah. It was a real cup occasion. All just missing the fans, but. since then, they've gone on from strength to strength. They were a Step 4 team then. They've since gone up into Step 3. They picked Macclesfield to promotion to get into Step 2, I think, probably for the first time in the club's history. And it's still going on from strength to strength. As you say, they're very close to those playoff places. And I believe personally, and I'm sure the people at the club will admit that this is all down to that FA Cup legacy, and it's made dreams come true for them, and they've certainly fulfilled them. And the guys there deserve a massive pat on the back for what they've done, and the fans too. The fans have stuck by them throughout, and now they're coming in their droves, and all of a sudden they're finding themselves in very esteemed company.
Yeah, and one game from Wembley, so why not? Dare to dream, absolutely right. In terms of league positioning, Southend are obviously the favourites. They're fighting on two fronts now for a place at Wembley, the FA Trophy, and indeed, well, two places at Wembley really, the FA Trophy and the playoffs for the National League. And it's an interesting quandary, isn't it? I mean, I would imagine Southend would prefer a return to the Football League over the FA Trophy. But with games being moved and the fixtures piling up, I think they've already got something like 3 games in hand over their nearby rivals, 8th in the table. There's going to be some interesting team selection decisions coming up over the next few weeks.
Yeah, that's right, and I think that's where the trophy doesn't really sort of hold much worth really with National League managers, because obviously the games all get played on a Saturday. So the further you get in the competition, you then have to put games back to the Tuesday. And then when you had real bad weather like we've had over the last few weeks, all of a sudden you find yourselves well behind on games. And but Kevin Meyer at Southend has obviously decided that an FA Trophy run is what he wanted to do, and all of a sudden they find themselves in a really nice position, really, where they are favourites for the competition. The fans went to Wembley last year in the playoff final, and they went in their droves, didn't they? I think it was well over 20,000.
Yeah.
Went to that Oldham game. They loved every minute of it, even though they lost. They'll be relishing a return to Wembley, but not really at the expense of the opportunity to get into those playoff places. So yeah, it'll be very interesting to see what Kevin Mayer does, whether he sticks or twists. He has got a decent squad. It's not the biggest squad in the world, but it's certainly got enough quality to fight on both fronts.
Let's do something a little bit different, John. Let's go into or stay in National League North from a Marine point of view, because it is a really, really interesting league. Marine now, they're 5 points off 7th, couple of games in hand. So in terms of the playoffs, maybe, just maybe, this win over Woking yesterday afternoon will give them a little bit of a boost in their bid to try and at least be in amongst the playoffs. The title race, it seems to be a 2-horse race between Fylde and South Shields. Fylde top, 75 points. South Shields second, 74 points. Both have got 3 games in hand on Merthyr Town, who sit in third on 63. They're probably landlocked in third place. But the race for the playoffs, goodness me, you've got Darlington, Kidderminster, Radcliffe, all within a point of each other. And then below that, Telford, Scarborough, Macclesfield, within another 3 points. It is an absolutely fascinating league at the top.
Yeah, it's going to go right to the wire, this. Certainly the top 2, they're absolutely running away with it. It's a 2-horse race, and they play each other on Tuesday night, which will be a really, really big game up at South Shields. Fylde are going head to head. Fylde literally 5 goals every time they seem to play at the moment. They're going great guns. That's going to be a real crunch game on Tuesday night. And as for those battle of the playoffs, I think it's probably safe to say that Kidderminster should be okay. Merthyr and Radcliffe have had brilliant seasons out of nowhere, really. I don't think anyone expected to see them 2 up there, but they're certainly holding their own and look like they're on course for the playoffs. And then there's a race ready for the final 2 or 3 spots. Macclesfield, we all know about Macclesfield. We see their FA Cup runs. They're going to be well in there. But Telford United, AFC Telford United, they've hit form at just the right time. I saw them over Christmas, and they're a decent little side, and they picked up some big points. They've beaten some of the top sides over the last few weeks. I think they're going to be there or thereabouts, and your boys Darlington as well. They've also picked up some some good results. I think they've got some games in hand too, so it'll be interesting to see how they fare over the next few weeks.
Yeah, just to explain that reference, family up in the Darlington area, so I've always had a real soft spot for them, and I just think the journey they've been on over the years, from Feetham's to the George Reynolds Arena and then back to Blackwell Meadows, and I really do hope that they're back in their rightful place in the Football League soon enough, and not least because it'll be a nice little away day potentially next season. International League South, and again, it's a really, really fascinating state of affairs at the top. I mean, Torquay, who for my money will